Hey, hello everyone, and a warm welcome to the Leadership Summit. We are thrilled to have you here. We have an inspired session lined up for you today titled Empowering Proactive Technical Advisors, a Client Engagement Masterclass for Gapsters. So, this session will be led by William Mendez, who we have here. He's a senior project and delivery manager and has been at the forefront of AI driven software modernization since 2017. He brings a wealth of knowledge as both an expert agile advisor and a dedicated AI practitioner, with deep expertise spanning the tech, banking, and telecom industries. William is uniquely positioned to provide valuable insights on mastering client engagement, so we are very excited to hear from him. If you have any questions about the session, you can just raise your hand or maybe type them in the chat, and I'll make sure that William hears all of you. So, William, we're very excited to hear from you, and the stage is all yours.
Thank you, Camilo. First of all, good afternoon, everyone. As Camilo was saying, my name is William Mendez. I'm here to present today, this presentation, which is an extract of a workshop that we did on the BBU some weeks ago, related to this same topic. Okay. So, any questions that you may have, it will be a pleasure to answer those in the moment. So, first of all, I have these three questions for you, and of course, you can reply for yourself about the purpose of this presentation, right? Number one, is being a technical proficient leader enough to succeed? Question number two, who has misled the client's strategic vision and their success criteria for partnering with Gap? Question number three, who has been afraid of engaging in a conversation with a client? If any of these questions, the answer is yes, that is exactly the purpose of why we are having this conversation, right? There are many gapsters along the time that may be afraid of engaging with a client. There may be gapsters who believe that if I'm technically an expert, right, it's enough for me to for doing my job, and it's not exactly the case, right? Again, this is exactly the purpose why we created this presentation. Over the next probably 20 minutes, we are going to have this conversation, and then if there is any questions or feedback, we will leave some time at the end to talk about it. But pretty much, again, the purpose is number one, how to overcome the fear of client interactions. What we will see is a set of tools in a specific case questions that we can address to the client in order to lose this fear. Number two, have a way to engage in an honest, deep, and clear conversations. Number three, be proactive technical advisors to them. And number four, that is the most important thing, how to build enduring professional relationships. Again, all these four purposes that you can see over here are going to be translated using questions. Question is one of the most effective and important tools that we have at our disposal to engage with someone, even if it is a personal relationship or a professional relationship, right? As Camilo was saying, again, my name is William. I have been working as a delivery manager in the BBU department, leading AI-driven software modernization. I have been collaborating in this company since 2017. Um, I would like to start this conversation with the next text. This is something that we usually publish internally a lot between Gapsters, and I would read it textually, the text. It says that Gap is a consulting and technology services company. We provide custom software, data engineering, and modernization solutions. Over here, I would like to remark the word consulting, right? It's really important for us to be a consulting expert to the client, to be what I call a proficient technical advisor, even if it is about technical teams, it can be about QA, it can be about people, it can be about anything, right? But being that expert that may provide advisors to them is quite important in this moment, right? So I would like to remark again the word consulting in the definition of what is gap. Being that said, there is an important concept that we all must have clarity before having this conversation. Many of you may heard the concept of consulting mindset, and it's really important to recap and to remind to ourselves what is this concept for us. Um, this consulting mindset is all about creating deep partnerships with the clients, right? Improving their businesses, improving our performance, the quality of our services. But the best way to do it is by creating a partnership, right? By creating a partnership, we mean about understanding sorry, their client business goals, understanding what is the knowledge that they may need, and therefore understand what may be the opportunities that we as capsters may provide to them to succeed. This may include, again, technologies, it may include services, it may include a structure or a way to organize their work. The answer to all of those is yes, right? Is try to provide value beyond the initial product or services that they hire us for, right? So we can create in the long term this collaborative relationship on which they can come to us for whatever need they may have in the future. That is the concept, again, of consulting mindset, is by creating this deep relationship, they can come back to us in 6 months, in a year, in 2 years, or in 5 years. Hey, I have this problem. Can you help me? That is exactly what we are looking for. To do that, we're going to first start with some advices to manage these interactions. We're going to review one study case. It's something quite simple, right? And then a set of questions that we can use in order to create this relationship with them. Again, if you have any questions, any comments, you can interrupt me at any moment you may need. The idea is to create a relationship as well in this presentation, so you can interrupt me at any moment that you may need. So this is like a really simple case. I just want to set some context around these conversations and the way that we can use the questions from this moment forward. I'm going to read it for just 1 minute because it's important to all to have this context. In this case situation, we have a delivery team leader through consistent proactive communication and genuine curiosity has built a strong, trusting relationship with a key client. During regular check-ins, the client expressed a minor, seemingly unrelated concern about a slip date in their website traffic. The team leader, recalling their knowledge of the client's broader business goals, asked questions about their backend infrastructure. The results of this action, Gap doesn't just solve the immediate technical issue, but also propose a proactive data-driven approach to monitor traffic patterns and identify potential future bottlenecks. They explain the technical solution in terms of business value. Again, this is like the happy cases scenario. This is something in which the team leader identify the concepts and the knowledge of the goals of the client and do insightful questions to create a better service. So, um, first tool, how can I create, initiate, and maintain this open communication? If you need to practice your active listening and to empathetic questioning, that is box that you can see at your left. What you may see at your right is the proposal of your question that you can do to a client in order to improve this specific skill. So, for example, again, if you need to practice and improve your active listening, you can say the following. Client, can you walk me through the specific pain points you are experiencing and what outcome you're hoping to achieve? This is a tool This is a question that tries to prepare the land for you to succeed and to be insightful to them, to show that you're interested in their needs, but at the same time that you are not stuck in trying to go through a exercise of collecting as much information as possible in an aggressive way. It's an open question. You are just showing your empathy to their needs, right? And you are interested in trying to collect information that may be valuable out of this question. This is going to be seamless for the next cases. I just want to highlight this in particular. And again, this is just one tool that you can use to practice this specific need. Okay. Second one, if you need to communicate progress and you need to communicate there are potential roadblocks in your way, you can say, based on the current progress, we anticipate completing the feature X by a specific date. We identify a potential dependency and we're exploring a solution to mitigate any impact. We will keep you informed. Again, it's a tool. You're communicating that a potential block may be along the way, right? And you may have a solution for it. We will keep in touch. Number third, you need to provide feedback, right? And sometimes that is very difficult to provide and to say. Therefore, to ensure we're delivering the most impactful solution, we we will greatly value your insights about X topic. We have observed that this is a challenge that is impacting our velocity, and perhaps we can explore an alternative together. You may modify these questions to adapt to the specific context of your need, but as you can see, again, this is an open question. It's not something aggressive to them. You are just showing your interest in providing better service. The second set of questions are about the strategic contributions that we as capsters can provide to them, something that may differentiate us from the rest of any other company, from any other provider they may have along the past, and to be on his mind for that moment forward. I know I'm not going to read every single question because it's going to be very boring. You can pick and you can read the questions as we move forward um, in the next slides. I just want to highlight what I believe for me is the most important question from the specific slide. Um, so for me, um, the most important one is to anticipate client needs. That is the first item in the slide, right? Based on your growth projections, we anticipate a need for scalable reporting in the next 6 months. Can we start exploring this technology or this approach now to get ahead? You are showing that we foresee for the future, that we are advising for the challenges to come, that we have one step forward in the relationship and the problems that we may face. You are showing that you are proactive in the solution of your problems, right? Again, item number two, understand the business justification. And number three, embrace experimentation and iteration. I will leave it to you if you want to review the questions. Of course, we will share this information to all of you in case you need it. But again, to have some time, I'm going to move forward to the next slide. Number three, again, this is the happy path. How to build a stronger relationship. This is more about the personal interaction, how I can communicate with this person that is in front of me on a personal level, right? Um, so, first of all, how to invest in that? You can mention if you heard that they are going to a recent conference, donut conference, or if they're going on vacations, if they're going to visit their kids or anything, right? Any tip that you can get about his personal life or his professional life they may explore, it's okay to ask, how was your day? How was your conference? How was your weekend? How was your vacations? Did you enjoy your vacations? I remember that you mentioned that your team was working on something, that your work family was doing through something. How is that progressing? Right? You are showing empathy and interest in knowing that if that person is okay or right or anything else. Number two, you can go the extra mile showing that you are an expert in the industry. For example, now that we are going through all this disruptive change as it is AI, you can say, um, X, have you heard about this amazing AI feature from Google Gemini? It can reduce hallucinations in code reviews, and maybe we can explore this opportunity. Maybe you can use it. It's very interesting what they are doing. You're showing that you are ahead, keep it posted of the industry, you're keeping updated from the industry, and you can go all the way down being an expert. And last but not least, and this is something quite difficult, how to be resilient. In order to build a relationship, we have to be honest to ourselves and to them. And this is something that is extremely complex when we don't have good news to share, right? So when you have to to say something like this, an option may be we acknowledge that this implementation didn't go as planned. However, here's what we have learned, and here's how our revised approach to ensure that we get back on track. By doing this, you are showing that you are humble enough to admit that we made some mistakes, that we have an opportunity to improve for the future, and that we are committed to improve for the future. Again, this is just a proposal. Hopefully, that this set of questions may help you in the future. And this last one in particular, I know that is extremely complex because this is when you don't have to share good news. But one way or another, if you see the question, we're not using a negative word all the way down, right? We are saying that we are humble enough to admit that we have to improve. Here is how we are improving, and we are showing our commitment to improve. Okay. Um, I would like to make a pause um, to go to the next section in case there is any feedback, comments, or questions about the happy phase of the story, right? How can create these questions that can bring me to deal with happy cases scenarios.
So far, we don't have questions in the chat either, just in case.
Okay, no, thank you by that. So the other section is, how to avoid pitfalls, right? How to identify that what are the things that I should not do in order to keep the relationship healthy, right? These are the things that we must avoid. Same context, we are going to provide just a scenario as an example, and then we are going to go through two things that we must avoid, that is poor communication and poor collaboration. So this is the case. Again, I'm going to read it just to provide context. The situation is that we have a product team leader that has a strained relationship with a client due a series of miscommunications and unaddressed minor frustrations. When a critical bug is discovered close to a major release, the client becomes highly agitated, right? What are the results if we don't have this partnership and this relationship between us? Instead of calm addressing the issue and collaborating on a solution, the team leader becomes defensive and responds with technical vocabulary and excuses, failing to communicate with diplomacy and tact. And therefore, this situation escalates quickly to the senior management on both sides. This is the path that we want to avoid. This is the path that if you have a good partnership and a good relationship should not happen. And these are the ones that we should not be doing. Okay. So when we talk about poor communication, we're talking about three things in essence. Number one, we must avoid technical vocabulary. technical vocabulary that most importantly we cannot explain, right? Why? Because we are assuming that clients will understand what we're saying. And guess what? In many occasions, they not. They don't understand this technical vocabulary that maybe for us is something that we may understand, but for them, it is not. And you need to take in consideration to not make assumptions when we're talking about communication. Number two, do not blame or make excuses. This is something that is really bad seeing about around many executives, right? So when there is an issue, don't point to any team, either it is a gapster or not a gapster. Don't blame the guilt in any specific person, even if it is individuals that you may know or external factors that you don't have control, right? Uh, you don't have to express it in a way that you're excusing yourself because that shows a lack of commitment to try to resolve the situation together. Number three, do not overpromise and underdeliver. We have to be realistic about timelines, resources, and capabilities. In other ways, we should be really careful of not bluffing the message with the client, and they may interpret it that we are taking them as fools. The answer or the reality or the advice is that we always have to be realistic about where we are, what we can do, and what are our capabilities and our expectations. If we have this honest conversation, we may have a middle point, a middle agreement that we can that can satisfy both ends, right? And create a true partnership. Because at the end of the day, a true partnership is about trust. And how can we create something to trust each other? Okay. So again, when we're talking about poor communication, avoid technical vocabulary, do not blame or make excuses. And number three, do not overpromise or and underdeliver. Now, if we go to poor collaboration, we have other three items that we must avoid. First of all, we need to avoid this mentality of, you know what, just tell me what to do. Tell me what to build. Tell me what you need, and I will get it done. I don't care. We have to avoid that mentality, right? We always need to understand the why behind the request. And if so, we should be able to offer a potential solution that may be better, right? Or an enhancement of that solution that may be better. But if we don't understand the why, and I just go to them and ask, just tell me what to do, right? We are showing zero commitment with them in the long term. We just want to get that job done, and that's it. So number one, avoid that just tell me what to do mentality. Number two, do not avoid difficult conversations. Yes, sometimes it's really complex to say to the client, I'm late. We're going to have a step back. And there are more regression bugs that we find. The answer to all of those is yes, it's complex and difficult to have these conversations. But this is the opportunity on which the trust between both parties are more um, important above all, right? To have these conversations. We need to avoid sweeping these issues under the rug, right? Postponing, kicking the can, right? These tough conversations because I'm just going to avoid that situation to happen. That problem will come back to our faces, eventually, right? And what is going to cause if we avoid those issues is that the problem will become bigger and bigger and bigger, like a snowball, right? So it's better to have those complex and difficult conversations as soon as possible, right? Because otherwise the impact will be bigger, and most importantly, it's going to damage the trust and the relationship between us. Number three, do not focus solely in your department's viewpoint. You must consider the impact that your decisions, your actions are going to have in the client business side, inclusive collaborate internally to provide a bigger solution, a holistic solution that may include every single part that is involved in the company. You must keep the view that this is not only for you, the solution. You have to focus on that this client has a set of stakeholders, end users, business obligations, business requirements, and you need to consider them all, right? So you not just focus on the department viewpoint. For example, if you have a bug, you know what? This fix is going to resolve the bug, but I know that it's going to be a create security vulnerabilities. But you know what? That's not for me. That is not my responsibility, right? That is not a holistic solution. You're just fixing something to get out of the way and move as fast as possible. But that's something that we also must avoid. With that, and this is just the end of the presentation, as I promised, this is something quite short. Um, the next steps that I would like to propose to you, you can review this presentation and you can commit to at least one item of the list to do in order to have a good relationship with the client. We already saw like 9 of them, so you can just pick one and improve that skill that you may have and practice that question with your clients. At the same time, you can also identify one of the actions that you should avoid, right? And be conscious about it and tell to yourself, I don't have to do X. I don't have to do X. You need to keep remind that to yourself every single time if you're showing this behavior. And number 3, you can schedule a follow-up discussion with your manager or even with your peers, right? I did this question. I'm avoiding this behavior. And I done this question. This is the results that I have. Let's share the interaction. Let's share the learnings about that. And that is going to improve our communication with the clients. With that said, as I promised, I just want to provide this set of tools. If you have any questions, comments, experiences that we may have in the past related to this, now is the time to do so. No questions?
Okay, guys. While you think about your questions, maybe we have a question for you too. Maybe you can leave us your comments and your feedback about this session in the feedback form that I just shared. Also, William, just in case, there's a lot of applauses I saw and hearts. So I think people are very happy with the information you just provided. But we are still here if you guys have any questions, any comments, anything you might want to add to the presentation that William just gave us. Hey, Juanca, go ahead.
Thank you. Hi, William. Thank you so much for your time to show us this interesting approach. And I think that's great because, sometimes we can read the theory about the great strategy to carry out these things. But I really believe that your examples are really applied in our day-to-day life, you know? So thank you so much for that because I think we can take the next steps and apply it in our lives, in our projects. And, thanks.
Thank you, Juanca. And just as you said, these are really easy to follow, right? You just have to be brave enough and with a accountability to try to improve yourself and do the question, right? Um, it's a question that is open. If the client doesn't want to tell you something because it's not in the interest of them, or maybe because relationship is not strong enough yet, right? Nothing bad is going to happen, right? So this is the important thing about doing these open questions. You may give it a try. If you get something fantastic, and if you're not, you know that there's still some work to do to build this relationship and build this trust. As I always say to my teams, build a relationship is like building a house, right? It may take you 1 year to build a relationship, but it may take just 5 minutes to destroy it. So it's something that you have to be working continuously every week, every month, and one single mistake can destroy it all. So it is about discipline. And once you get it, I can promise you that it makes your interaction with the client much easier.
You also
Yeah.
have Luis Centeno with their hand raised.
you. Thanks, William, for the for this valuable information. I found it really interesting. I have one question about one point that you talk at the very beginning. It's about avoid blaming um, others or avoid excuses. How we can deal with these scenarios, when we have something that is out of our control and it's something that we cannot, you know, uh, control, and something goes wrong. How we can deal with this, how we can express correctly this to our clients.
Thank you, Luis. Yes, again, this is something that is extremely difficult to do. It may be whoever that finger point that you would like to do. The idea is to, even avoid that mentality, right, of guilt. In that purpose, and this is over here, I will recommend to use the last item or the last question from this particular slide about learn from the setbacks. Over here, when you say that we acknowledge that this implementation didn't go as planned, and we have learned, and this is the new approach to get back on track, you are showing here that you are humble enough to recognize that something happened. We're not saying who, we're not saying when or where, but we acknowledge that something interfere with the expectations that we had, that we recognize that that happened, and that we make changes to look forward to the future, right? Um, this is a really simple way to avoid the second person in the conversations. Over here, you're not saying who, right? We has gap. We learned that something didn't go as planned. We did the fixes, and we want to move forward. And this is what we have learned, and this is what we will do to not be on this situation again. That recommendation when you have to do something like that. I don't know if I was able to answer your question, Luis.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay. Also, Wilson has a suggestion in the chat that is please make the deck available to everyone. William already sent it to me, so I'm going to locate it in the external or like public resources for education along with the recording. I'm going to please stay attentive to the education channel on Slack, and I'm going to inform you once it is available there.
Perfect. And I would just like to finish the presentation with this last slide. Just as a specific reminder that we as Capsters were not just a vendor. We are a strategic partner that should understand the client challenges, anticipate their needs, and deliver scalable, future-proof solutions. What I'm saying with all of that is that the market, especially with AI, is demanding us to be really confident in how we are interacting with the clients, right? How to be close to them and how they can see to us as a technical advisor for any question that they may have related to our projects or maybe not related to our projects. Right now, in the situation in which we are, is critical to have this partnership built and strong in order to keep our future services that we may provide them in the future and future references that they may provide for new clients that we may have. So again, just remember, we are just not a vendor. We are a strategic partner that build this relationship with them in order to understand their challenges, to anticipate their needs, and to deliver scalable future-proof solutions. And with that said, that is the last message that I want to leave you inside your minds. Thanks for your participation. Thanks for your questions. In a few moments, again, Camille is going to send you a survey to improve this conversation and this presentation. And again, thanks for your time this afternoon.
Thank you so much, William, and thank you guys all for joining. Remember that we have a lot of other sessions this week and the upcoming weeks. So we hope to see you there in the Leadership Summit. And thank you again, William, for this valuable information. And see you in the next one.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care. Be safe. Bye bye.